All right, strap yourselves in for this one.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving into a real head-scratcher today.
Sounds good.
We're talking about a giant
Okay.
three-fingered hand found in a Peruvian cave.
Wow.
I mean, 3 fingers, it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It really does make you wonder what's out there, doesn't it? When you hear something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It really is.
Our source material for this deep dive is a YouTube video from the Secure Team channel titled Creepy Alien Remains Found in Isolated Cave 1817.mp3.
Okay.
And of course, they're going full throttle with the alien theory, especially since an elongated skull was also found at the site.
Well, of course, yeah. That's the thing, right? When you start talking about elongated skulls and, 3 fingers on a hand, people's minds immediately go to aliens.
Right. I mean, it's hard not to.
It is.
It's like, what else could it be?
Yeah, but before we get carried away with spaceships and little green men, let's just take a step back and look at the details.
Okay, sounds good. Let's unpack this.
All right.
The video says that this hand was found by a group of friends exploring caves near Cusco, Peru. But here's where it gets a little shady.
Okay.
They're keeping the exact location of the cave top secret.
So right away, that makes you kind of wonder
Yeah, exactly.
why all the secrecy.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is a genuine, groundbreaking discovery, wouldn't you want to shout it from the rooftops?
Yeah, you would think so, right? But maybe they have their reasons.
Like what?
Well, maybe they're worried about looters or the site being overrun with curious tourists.
Oh, that's a good point. People can get a little crazy when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
They might want to protect the integrity of the site, for scientific study and all that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if they revealed the location and suddenly you have a bunch of amateur archaeologists tromping all over the place, potentially contaminating the evidence.
Right.
That would be a disaster.
Yeah, that would be a huge setback. Or maybe they're concerned about the government getting involved.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, they might be afraid of the government seizing the hand and the skull for their own research or who knows what.
It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, is it? Governments have been known to be a little secretive when it comes to things like this.
Yeah, you start to think, what are they not telling us?
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if they're afraid of the implications of this discovery, or maybe they're concerned about how it might be exploited.
Yeah, I mean, a find like this, it could really turn the scientific world upside down.
Absolutely.
And not everyone welcomes that kind of upheaval.
Right. Some people might have a vested interest in keeping things the way they are, even if it means suppressing the truth.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the hand itself.
Okay, yeah.
The video shows these incredibly long fingers, seemingly covered in skin.
Okay.
And get this, visible fingernails.
Wow.
It looks eerily human, but with that one major difference. Only 3 fingers?
Right. And that's what makes it so fascinating, isn't it? It's like this strange blend of the familiar and the totally alien.
But it's like it's human, but not.
Yeah, and it really forces us to confront our own preconceived notions about what's possible, what life could look like.
It challenges our understanding of anatomy and evolution.
Exactly.
Like, what evolutionary path would lead to a 3-fingered hand that still has human-like fingernails? It's mind-boggling.
Totally. It's like looking into a mirror but seeing something completely different staring back at you.
And the initial analysis, it just deepens the mystery.
Oh, I bet.
X-rays supposedly revealed 6 bones in each finger.
6 bones.
6 bones. We humans, we only have 3.
Wow.
The physicians who examined these X-rays, they were baffled.
Rightfully so. I mean, that's a huge difference.
They flat out said it wasn't human.
Well, that's a pretty big statement coming from medical professionals, isn't it?
Absolutely.
These are people who understand the human body inside and out.
Right.
And for them to say that this skeletal structure is unlike anything they've ever seen.
It really makes you wonder what we're dealing with here.
It really does.
Hold on. There's more.
Hi.
The video emphasizes that the physicians confirmed both the hand and the skull.
Okay.
That they were genuine biological objects, not some elaborate hoax or movie props.
So they're saying this is the real deal.
Yes, they are. Now, whether or not we believe them is another story.
Of course, yeah. We always have to be skeptical, especially with extraordinary claims like this.
Absolutely.
But if we assume for a moment that they're telling the truth, that these medical professionals are being honest.
It lends a certain level of credibility to the claim, doesn't it?
It does.
Because if these experts, with all their knowledge and experience, are saying this is the real deal.
You have to at least consider the possibility that they're right.
Right, and that's what makes this so intriguing.
It really does.
And here's the kicker.
Okay.
The X-rays apparently showed what they called mammal features.
Mammal feet.
Mammal features?
So it's not human.
But it shares characteristics with mammals.
That's a huge puzzle piece right there, isn't it? What does that even mean?
Right. What kind of mammal has 6 bones in each finger?
Yeah. And what does it tell us about the evolutionary history of this creature?
It's like it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities.
It really does. You start thinking about, you know, could this be a branch of evolution that we've never even considered before? A whole lineage of creatures that we just don't know about.
Whoa, so it could be related to us somehow.
It's possible, yeah. Like way, way back in the evolutionary tree.
Imagine like a distant, bizarre cousin we never knew existed.
Yeah, that's a crazy thought.
It's mind-blowing.
I know, it really makes you question everything you thought you knew about biology and the history of life on Earth.
Okay, but before we get too carried away with rewriting textbooks,
Yeah.
we do need to address the elephant in the room.
Okay, let's hear it.
There's already a lot of skepticism swirling around this fight.
Well, yeah, that's understandable, isn't it? When something this extraordinary comes along, people are naturally going to be skeptical.
I mean, it does sound pretty far-fetched, right?
It does, it does.
And some people are calling it a straight-up hoax,
Oh, really?
fabricated by Brian Forrester, the researcher involved,
Oh.
just to drive traffic to his Hidden Inca Tours website.
Oh, so there's a potential motive there. Then,
Right.
I mean, think about it.
It all starts to sound a little fishy, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Like maybe he created this whole elaborate story to drum up interest in his tours.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time someone's used a hoax to promote their business.
That's true, sadly.
But you have to wonder, if it is a hoax, wouldn't it ultimately backfire?
Yeah, I mean, once the truth comes out,
Once people realize they've been duped?
his reputation would be ruined.
Yeah, exactly.
And who would want to go on a tour led by someone who's known for faking evidence?
Right, so it seems like a risky strategy, doesn't it? To build your business on a lie.
It really does.
It makes you think, maybe there's more to this story than meets the eye.
It's like, what's the motivation here?
Yeah.
Is it fame? Fortune?
Or maybe, just maybe, he genuinely believes what he's presenting.
It's hard to say for sure.
It is.
But speaking of those elongated skulls,
Oh, yeah.
the video brings those up too.
Okay.
Apparently, they're featured prominently on Forrester's website,
Uh-huh.
suggesting they're somehow connected to this 3-fingered hand,
Right.
and you guessed it, aliens.
Okay, now we're venturing into some pretty speculative territory here.
Right. It's like, are we talking ancient astronauts now?
Yeah, I mean, we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions.
I know.
The whole phenomenon of elongated skulls, it's a complex one with a lot of different theories floating around.
Okay, so let's break it down a bit.
Comes good.
What are some of the explanations for these elongated skulls?
Well, some researchers believe they're the result of artificial cranial deformation.
Wait, artificial cranial deformation?
Yeah.
You're telling me people actually reshaped their skulls on purpose?
It sounds crazy, I know, but there's actually a lot of archaeological evidence to support it.
How does that even work?
Well, from what we understand, certain cultures practiced head binding.
Head binding.
Yeah, they would use boards and cloth to apply pressure to a baby's skull over an extended period of time.
And this would actually reshape the skull.
It would, yeah. It's pretty incredible and kind of creepy if you think about it.
Wow, that's fascinating and a little disturbing at the same time.
It is, isn't it? It really makes you wonder about the lengths people will go to for beauty or social status.
Exactly, like what was considered beautiful or prestigious back then might seem strange or even grotesque to us today.
And it's a reminder that our perceptions of beauty and normalcy are often culturally defined.
But what about the connection to the 3-fingered hand?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Is there actually a link between these elongated skulls and this strange 3-fingered hand?
Is Forrester just trying to weave a narrative that ties all these seemingly unrelated things together
It's
to
possible.
make his alien theory more believable?
I mean, he does have a vested interest in promoting the idea of ancient mysteries and extraterrestrial contact.
It's like he's creating this grand, sweeping narrative.
A story that captures the imagination.
And maybe, just maybe, this 3-fingered hand is the missing piece that brings it all together.
It's a compelling story, for sure.
But is it true?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
So what do we do? How do we sort through all of this? How do we figure out what's really going on?
Well, the video mentions that they were planning to do DNA testing and radiocarbon dating,
Right, I remember that.
but the video itself predates the results.
So we don't know what those tests revealed.
Not from the video, no.
That's frustrating.
It is, but it also leaves us with a sense of anticipation, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
we're on the edge of a major discovery.
I know, I'm dying to know what this test showed.
Me too.
For those who aren't familiar with this stuff, can you explain what those tests could tell us
Sure.
and why they're so important in a case like this?
Absolutely. So DNA analysis, it's like a fingerprint for a species.
Okay.
It can help us identify what kind of creature this hand belonged to.
Or at least give us clues about its evolutionary lineage, right?
Exactly. It can tell us where it fits on the tree of life.
Imagine if the DNA doesn't match any known species.
That would be huge.
It would be a game changer.
It would suggest that we're dealing with something completely new.
And as for radiocarbon dating,
Yeah.
that's like a time machine for ancient objects, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It can tell us how old something is by analyzing the carbon in it.
So we could potentially find out not just what this creature was.
But when it lived.
Exactly. Like, was it alive recently or does it go back thousands of years?
Imagine if the radiocarbon dating reveals that this hand is, say, 10,000 years old,
Wow.
predating any known human civilization in the area.
That would be incredible.
It would add another layer of intrigue to this already fascinating mystery.
It would completely rewrite our understanding of the past.
It would make you question everything you thought you knew about history and the origins of humanity. It really would.
I know. I can't even imagine what the scientific community would make of it.
It'd be huge.
It could potentially turn our understanding of the past upside down, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Even if the DNA doesn't match any known species, and the dating puts it way back in time, would that automatically mean it's alien?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, it would be incredibly compelling evidence, for sure.
Right.
But it wouldn't definitively prove extraterrestrial origin.
I guess that makes sense.
It would open up a whole new can of worms, though.
How so?
Well, it would force us to rethink our entire understanding of evolution, you know,
Yeah.
and the possibilities of life beyond Earth.
Right.
I mean, I might even point to a branch of terrestrial life that we just never knew existed.
Okay, so even with all these tests, we might not get a clear-cut answer.
That's the thing about science sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not always about finding definitive answers.
It's kind of frustrating, isn't it?
It can be, especially when you're dealing with something as mysterious as this. But in a way, that's also what makes it so exciting, you know.
I guess I see what you mean.
It pushes us to keep searching, keep questioning, keep an open mind.
Right. Like there's still so much we don't know about our own planet,
Exactly.
let alone the vastness of space.
It's a reminder that we're still just scratching the surface.
I guess that's true.
The unknown is a powerful driving force for discovery.
It is. It sparks our curiosity, you know, fuels our imagination,
Absolutely.
and it drives us to explore further.
And this entire case, with all its twists and turns, is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, we have this strange hand, potentially ancient, potentially not human,
Found in a secret location.
and it's got everyone talking.
It's like a real-life detective story, you know.
I like that analogy.
We've got clues, we've got suspects, we've got red herrings
And we're trying to piece it all together.
to solve the mystery.
Exactly. And just like in a good detective story, we need to consider all angles.
Even the seemingly far-fetched ones.
Well, within reason, of
Right.
course. But yeah, while the idea of aliens is certainly intriguing,
It is.
we can't just discount other possibilities.
You're right.
We have to be careful not to get so caught up in the alien hype that we overlook other more plausible explanations.
Okay, I agree.
Critical thinking is crucial here.
Absolutely.
We need to evaluate the evidence, weigh the pros and cons of each theory.
And avoid jumping to conclusions.
Exactly.
So let's play devil's advocate for a minute.
All right, I like it.
What are some alternative explanations besides aliens or a hoax?
Well, one possibility is that this hand belongs to a species of primate that we haven't discovered yet.
Okay.
I know it's not as exciting as aliens,
Right.
but it's certainly more plausible.
That's true.
Imagine like a type of ape or monkey that evolved in isolation, you know? Maybe in these caves or somewhere remote.
Developed these unique three-fingered hands.
Exactly.
That's a pretty cool idea, actually.
It is, isn't it?
It kind of reminds me of those stories about undiscovered tribes in remote parts of the world.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like, what if there are still species out there that we've never even documented?
It's definitely possible.
Yeah,
I mean, we're still discovering new species all the time.
that's true.
And remember, we're talking about a cave system in Peru.
Right.
These environments can be incredibly isolated.
creating unique conditions for evolution to take place.
Exactly.
So this hand could be like a living fossil, a remnant of a lineage that branched off from our own millions of years ago.
It's a fascinating possibility that we shouldn't dismiss outright.
Yeah, we definitely shouldn't.
Of course, we need more evidence to support this theory,
Right.
but it's certainly worth considering.
All right, so we've got the alien theory, the hoax theory, and the undiscovered primate theory.
Those are the big three, for sure.
Are there any other possibilities we should be thinking about?
Well, there's always the chance that this is some kind of genetic anomaly.
Okay. Like what?
Maybe it's a deformed human hand.
But wouldn't the 6 bones in each finger make that less likely?
Yeah, you're right. That does make it less likely.
So what else?
Well, perhaps it's a case of convergent evolution.
Convergent evolution.
Yeah, that's where unrelated species develop similar traits
Okay.
because of similar environmental pressures.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. Think about bats and birds.
They both have wings,
Exactly.
but they evolved those wings independently.
Right. It's not because they're closely related
But because flying was advantageous for their survival.
in their respective environments.
So you're saying this 3-fingered hand could have evolved in a similar way,
It's possible.
maybe for climbing or grasping in this specific cave environment.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
We know that evolution can be incredibly adaptable. So if 3 fingers provided some kind of advantage in that cave system.
And natural selection might have favored that trait.
Exactly.
Wow, so we've got a whole buffet of theories here.
It's a real smorgasbord.
It's almost like the more we dig into this, the more complex it gets.
That's the beauty of science.
Yeah,
The more we learn, the more we realize we don't know.
that's true.
And this case is a prime example of how one discovery can open up a Pandora's box of possibilities.
It's like peeling back layers of an onion.
Ooh, I like that.
Except instead of crying, we're getting more and more intrigued.
That's a great analogy.
And just like with an onion, sometimes the truth can be hidden beneath those layers, waiting to be revealed.
And it's our job to keep peeling.
So how do we peel back those layers?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Where do we go from here?
Well, the video itself, it
Mm.
predates any concrete results from the DNA testing and radiocarbon dating.
Right.
So the first step would be to track down those results.
If they exist.
If they exist, exactly.
They could provide crucial insights into the nature of this hand.
They could, yeah.
They could tell us if it's human,
Mm-hmm.
if it's related to any known species,
Right.
and how old it really is.
Exactly.
We might finally have some concrete data to work with.
Instead of just speculation and theories,
That would be amazing.
you would.
Imagine finally getting some answers after all this time.
It's the moment we've all been waiting for.
The climax of our detective story.
Exactly.
But even if those results are inconclusive, it doesn't mean the journey ends there, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Well, this case has already sparked so much interest and discussion.
it has.
It's gotten people thinking about the possibilities of
Of undiscovered species, the complexities of evolution,
Mm-hmm.
and even the potential for life beyond Earth.
And that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
It's definitely gotten me thinking.
Good. That's what we want.
Yeah.
And that's the real power of a discovery like this.
What do you mean?
It's not just about finding answers. It's about sparking curiosity and inspiring further exploration.
So even if we don't definitively solve the mystery of the 3-fingered hand,
Yeah.
it's still been a valuable experience.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that there's still so much out there waiting to be discovered.
And that the pursuit of knowledge
Yeah.
is an ongoing adventure.
Well said.
But let's not forget about our listener.
Right. Our listener.
What can they take away from all of this? I think for me, just the biggest thing is like, we shouldn't be afraid to ask questions
Oh, yeah.
and challenge what we think we know.
Totally.
You know, like this whole thing has really shown how much is still out there
Absolutely.
and how important it is to be open to new ideas.
Yeah, to keep an open mind.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
universe is full of mysteries,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes it's the most bizarre discoveries that can lead to those big aha moments.
It's true.
Like those moments where you realize that everything you thought you knew might be wrong.
Right.
And that's exciting.
It's a little scary, but yeah, it is exciting.
for sure.
It's like this is how science works, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not always about having the answers.
Yep.
It's about asking the right questions, gathering evidence, and being willing to change our minds when new information comes along.
Exactly. It's about constantly learning and evolving.
So for our listener, what can they do if they want to explore this further?
Well, There are tons of resources out there, especially online.
Right.
A good starting point would be to dig deeper into the claims made in that Secure Team video.
Okay, so go back to the source.
Yeah, and look for updates on those DNA and radiocarbon dating results.
Right, those results could be key.
Oh, for sure, if they exist.
Yeah, if they exist.
See if any reputable scientific organizations have weighed in on the discovery, too.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because, not everything you read online is accurate or reliable.
That's true.
It's important to be discerning about your sources.
Absolutely.
Stick to credible sources like scientific journals, university websites, reputable news organizations.
Right, places where the information has been vetted.
Exactly.
And don't be afraid to really look into the methodology.
Oh, yeah.
How was the evidence collected? What were the limitations of the study?
Asking those critical questions
Yeah.
can really help you separate fact from fiction.
And form your own informed opinion.
Exactly.
And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole,
Oh, yeah.
you can explore the whole world of elongated skulls and artificial cranial deformation.
That's a fascinating area.
Right. There's so much information out there, from archaeological studies to historical accounts.
It's amazing, isn't it, to think that people were intentionally reshaping their skulls.
It's a little unsettling, too.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it really makes you wonder about the lengths people would go to for beauty or social status.
And it highlights the diversity of human cultures,
Yeah,
the different ways we've tried to understand and interact with the world around us.
it's incredible.
It really is.
This deep dive has been a wild ride.
It has.
We started with this mysterious three-fingered hand. Yeah. And we ended up exploring everything from aliens to ancient skull-shaping practices.
It's been quite the journey.
It has.
But it's a great example of how one intriguing discovery can lead to a whole network of interconnected ideas.
And open up so many new questions.
Absolutely.
So, what's the final verdict? What do you think about this whole thing?
I think for me, it's a reminder that there's still so much we don't know
Yeah.
about our own planet, about the universe.
It's humbling, isn't it?
It is. This hand, whether it's a hoax, a new species, something else entirely,
Yeah.
it forces us to think outside the box.
You consider possibilities we might never have imagined.
Exactly.
And I think that's a good thing.
It is.
It encourages us to stay curious, to keep exploring, to never stop asking questions.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll uncover the truth behind this three-fingered mystery.
I hope so.
But until then, the speculation and the wonder, that's all part of the fun.
I love that.
It is fun.
Well said. And on that note, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
What do you think about this three-fingered hand?
What are your theories?
Do you have any ideas we didn't cover?
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
And until next time,
Keep exploring
keep questioning.
and keep those minds open.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.